Hedy Lamarr, the woman the world saw, and the genius it missed. The world knew Hedy Lamarr as one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood. But beauty was never the whole story. In the golden age of cinema, audiences stared at her face in dark theaters, while critics praised her elegance, mystery, and glamour. Directors called her exotic. Magazine covers treated her like a living statue. Men admired her. Women copied her style. Yet behind the spotlight was a restless mind that refused to sit still. While Hollywood celebrated Hedy Lamarr the actress, another version of her existed in secret. A woman who spent nights sketching inventions, studying machines, and thinking about engineering problems. Between movie shoots, she experimented with ideas at home. During World War II, she helped create a communication system so advanced that decades later its underlying principles would help shape modern wireless communication. So who was Hedy Lamarr really? An actress? Or an inventor? The truth is far more fascinating. She was both. A curious child behind the beauty. Hedy Lamarr was born Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler in Vienna, Austria, in 1914. From an early age, she displayed unusual curiosity. Her father loved explaining how things worked: streetcars, printing presses, mechanical devices, and machines of every kind. Young Hedy listened carefully. She did not simply admire technology, she wanted to understand it. As a child, she reportedly took apart her music box and rebuilt it simply to discover how it worked. Her mother, a talented pianist, introduced her to music and the arts. Looking back, it seems almost symbolic. One parent nurtured her fascination with science. The other cultivated her artistic imagination. Both influences would later come together in an extraordinary way. But the world noticed something else first: her beauty. At 16, she entered acting. By 18, she became internationally famous, after starring in the controversial 1933 film Ecstasy. Overnight, she became one of Europe's most talked about young actresses. Yet fame quickly became a cage. A marriage that changed everything. Hedy married Friedrich Mandl, a wealthy Austrian arms manufacturer. Mandl was powerful, controlling, and deeply possessive. Hedy later described herself as little more than a decorative object in his world. Over the years, dramatic stories emerged about how she escaped the marriage. The most famous version claims she disguised herself as a maid and fled from Mandl's estate. It is a wonderful story. But historians believe reality was probably less theatrical. Most likely, Hedy persuaded Mandl to allow her to wear her jewelry to a formal event. Then left with it and made her way to Paris, using the valuables to finance her escape. The legend may be uncertain. The courage was not. Ironically, the unhappy marriage provided an education no university could have offered. Mandl entertained military officers, weapons designers, and political leaders. During lavish dinners, discussions often centered on military technology and weapon systems. Most guests saw a beautiful young wife sitting quietly at the table. Hedy was listening. Years later, she would draw upon what she learned in those rooms. Hollywood's most beautiful woman. After escaping Europe, Hedy eventually met Louis B. Mayer of MGM Studios and traveled to Hollywood. Mayer gave her a new name, Hedy Lamarr. America was captivated. Films such as Algiers, Boomtown, White Cargo, and Samson and Delilah made her one of Hollywood's brightest stars. MGM promoted her as the most beautiful woman in the world. The label brought fame. It also created a problem. Hollywood admired her face but rarely recognized her intellect. She was repeatedly cast as glamorous, mysterious women, while her scientific interests remained invisible. Years later, she offered a sharp observation: any girl can be glamorous, all you have to do is stand still and look stupid. Behind the elegance was a mind that never stopped working. The inventor hidden in plain sight. One of the few people who recognized Hedy's intelligence was billionaire aviator Howard Hughes. The two became close friends, and Hughes encouraged her inventive side. He reportedly gave her a chemistry set, access to engineers, and space to experiment. Unlike many others, he saw her not merely as a movie star, but as a creative thinker. When Hughes sought ways to improve aircraft design, Hedy approached the problem in an unusual way. She studied birds and fish, examining how nature solved problems of speed and movement. Combining ideas from both, she sketched a new wing design. After seeing her work, Hughes reportedly told her, "You're a genius." For perhaps the first time, someone in her professional world openly acknowledged what she had always been: a composer, a movie star, and a military problem. When World War II erupted, Hedy desperately wanted to help the Allied cause. One problem troubled her: radio-controlled torpedoes could be jammed by enemy forces, making them unreliable and vulnerable. At a Hollywood dinner party, she met avant-garde composer George Antheil. The pairing seemed unlikely: a movie star, a composer. Yet together they would produce one of the most remarkable inventions of the 20th century. Antheil had previously worked with synchronized player pianos. Their conversation led to a bold idea: what if a radio signal constantly changed frequencies, making it nearly impossible for enemies to intercept or jam? Together they designed a system in which both transmitter and receiver would hop from one frequency to another in perfect synchronization. The most fascinating detail was their choice of frequencies. They selected 88. Why 88? Because a piano has 88 keys. The architecture of a musical instrument became the blueprint for a communication system. Art and science merged into a single invention. In 1942, Lamarr and Antheil received U.S. patent for what they called a secret communication system. The patent was filed under Hedy's married name at the time, Hedy Lamarr, a detail that would later make her contribution even easier to overlook. Today we know it as an early form of frequency-hopping spread-spectrum communication. The Navy's mistake. One might expect the military to celebrate such an invention during wartime. Instead, it was largely ignored. Some officials believed the system was impractical. Others struggled to imagine the mechanism fitting inside torpedoes of the era. And beneath the technical objections lurked a deeper prejudice. A glamorous actress was not supposed to be an inventor. According to many accounts, Hedy was told she could contribute more to the war effort by using her celebrity to sell war bonds than by designing military technology. In essence, she was encouraged to sell kisses rather than ideas. So she did. Traveling across the country, she became one of the most successful war bond fundraisers of the war. Millions of dollars were raised through her efforts. Yet her invention remained shelved for decades. How Hedy Lamarr's frequency hopping system worked. Imagine ordinary radio communication as a single-lane road. If an enemy blocks that road with a jammer, the message cannot get through. Hedy Lamarr's idea was different. Instead of using one lane, she created a system that could jump among many lanes. 1. The piano roll blueprint. Working with composer George Antheil, Lamarr borrowed an idea from synchronized player pianos. Their patent used 88 frequencies, the same number as the keys on a piano. A coded sequence determined when the signal would jump from one frequency to another. 2. Synchronized hopping. The transmitter on a ship and the receiver inside a torpedo would change frequencies at exactly the same moment, following the same hidden pattern. 3. Evading the jammer. An enemy trying to block the signal might succeed for a fraction of a second. But before the jammer could react, the signal would already have hopped to a new frequency. The message continued moving while the enemy was left chasing it. This revolutionary idea became one of the earliest and most influential examples of spread-spectrum communication. A technology ahead of its time. The greatest irony of Hedy Lamarr's life is that she was right. The world simply wasn't ready. Years later, engineers revisited the principles behind her patent. During the early 1960s, including the period of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the U.S. military began implementing communication systems based on similar spread-spectrum principles. Ironically, by the time the world was finally ready for her idea, Lamarr's patent had already expired. It is important to understand exactly what Hedy invented. She did not literally invent Wi-Fi. Nor did she directly create Bluetooth or GPS. Instead, she helped pioneer the broader concept of spread-spectrum communication. Her frequency-hopping approach became part of a family of technologies that proved signals could move across multiple frequencies while remaining secure and reliable. Modern wireless technologies evolved through many stages and employ different technical methods. But they all owe something to the revolutionary insight that communication did not need to remain fixed on a single frequency. In that sense, Hedy Lamarr helped lay part of the conceptual foundation for the connected world we inhabit today. Every wireless signal around us carries a faint echo of her idea. The inventions nobody talks about. Most people know only about the frequency-hopping patent. But Hedy's inventive mind never stopped. She developed an improved traffic signal. She designed a dissolvable tablet intended to create a carbonated beverage when mixed with water. She experimented with ideas for aircraft design. She reportedly worked on a fluorescent dog collar intended to improve nighttime safety. She even explored cosmetic techniques related to skin tightening, inspired by her observations of aging in Hollywood. Not every idea succeeded. That was never the point. Inventors invent because they are curious. Hedy Lamarr never stopped being curious. Recognition at last. The saddest chapter of the story is financial. Hedy Lamarr never earned a single cent from her most important invention. By the time military organizations began implementing technologies based on similar spread-spectrum principles during the early 1960s, her patent had already expired and entered the public domain. Others benefited. She did not. For years, few people remembered her contribution. Then, slowly, recognition arrived. In 1997, she received the Electronic Frontier Foundation Pioneer Award for her work. When informed of the honor, her response was famously brief. "It's about time." 3 words. 3 decades of frustration. 3 decades of vindication. In 2014, 14 years after her death, she was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. The recognition came late, but it finally came. Actress or inventor? So who was Hedy Lamarr? The dazzling actress who captivated Hollywood? The inventor whose ideas helped reshape communication technology? The answer remains the same. She was both. For much of her life, people insisted on choosing one identity or the other. Hollywood saw beauty. Engineers saw a celebrity. Critics saw a movie star. Few saw the whole person. Yet Hedy Lamarr spent her entire life proving that human beings cannot be reduced to labels. She was an artist who understood technology, an inventor who loved film, a woman whose imagination moved freely between science and creativity. Long after the applause faded from Hollywood theaters, her ideas continued traveling invisibly through the air around us. The actress became a legend. The inventor helped lay part of the foundation for the wireless world we live in today. And perhaps the greatest lesson of her life is this: the most extraordinary minds are often hidden behind the ordinary stories people tell about them.
It's time to study new words in context. 1. Elegance. Definition: a quality of being graceful, beautiful, and pleasant in appearance or behavior. Example: everyone admired her elegance when she walked into the room. 2. Glamour. Definition: an exciting and attractive quality that makes a person or place seem special. Example: Hollywood was famous for its glamour and movie stars. 3. Exotic. Definition: unusual and interesting because it comes from a different place or culture. Example: the garden was filled with exotic flowers from other countries. 4. Shoots. Definition: times when a movie, television show, or video is being filmed. Example: she studied her notes between movie shoots. 5. Nurtured. Definition: helped something grow, develop, or improve. Example: her parents nurtured her love of music. 6. Theatrical. Definition: very dramatic or done in a way that seems like a play or movie. Example: his theatrical reaction made everyone laugh. 7. Lavish. Definition: rich, expensive, and very impressive. Example: they held a lavish wedding with hundreds of guests. 8. Aviator. Definition: a person who flies an aircraft, especially an airplane. Example: the famous aviator flew across the ocean alone. 9. Cause. Definition: an idea, goal, or movement that people support and work for. Example: many people donated money to support the cause. 10. Vulnerable. Definition: easy to harm, attack, or damage. Example: small boats are vulnerable during a storm. 11. Avant-garde. Definition: new, different, and often far ahead of what is common. Example: the artist was known for his avant-garde style. 12. Overlook. Definition: to fail to notice or give attention to something. Example: people often overlook small details. 13. Spread spectrum communication. Definition: a way of sending signals by using many frequencies, instead of just one, making communication more secure and reliable. Example: spread spectrum communication helps wireless devices avoid interference. 14. Lurked. Definition: existed quietly or secretly, often waiting to appear. Example: danger lurked in the dark forest. 15. Shelved. Definition: put aside and not used or worked on for a period of time. Example: the company shelved the project for several years. 16. Implementing. Definition: putting a plan or idea into action. Example: the school is implementing a new reading program. 17. Conceptual foundation. Definition: the basic idea on which something else is built. Example: trust is the conceptual foundation of a strong friendship. 18. Fluorescent. Definition: very bright and easy to see, especially in the dark. Example: the worker wore a fluorescent safety vest. 19. Public domain. Definition: material that belongs to everyone, and can be used freely because it is no longer protected by copyright or patent. Example: the patent entered the public domain after it expired. 20. Vindication. Definition: proof that a person was right or unfairly judged. Example: winning the award was a vindication of her hard work. 21. Inducted. Definition: officially accepted into a group or organization as an honor. Example: she was inducted into the Hall of Fame for her achievements. 22. Dazzling. Definition: extremely impressive, beautiful, or bright. Example: the actress gave a dazzling performance on stage.
Comprehension questions. 1. Who was Hedy Lamarr and why was she famous? Answer: Hedy Lamarr was an Austrian-American actress and inventor. She was famous for being one of Hollywood's most beautiful movie stars, and for helping develop a communication technology that later influenced modern wireless systems. 2. What childhood experience helped develop Hedy's interest in science and technology? Answer: her father explained how machines and devices worked, which encouraged her curiosity about technology and invention. 3. Why did Hedy Lamarr's marriage to Friedrich Mandel influence her later invention? Answer: during her marriage, she listened to discussions about military technology and weapons, which gave her knowledge that later helped her develop ideas for secure communication systems. 4. What popular legend exists about Hedy's escape from her marriage? Answer: a popular legend says that she disguised herself as a maid and escaped from her husband's estate. Historians believe the real story was probably less dramatic. 5. Why did Hollywood fail to recognize Hedy Lamarr's intelligence? Answer: many people focused only on her beauty and acting career, and did not realize she was also highly intelligent and interested in science. 6. How did Howard Hughes encourage Hedy's inventive abilities? Answer: he gave her a chemistry set, introduced her to engineers, and encouraged her to work on inventions and technical ideas. 7. Who was George Antheil and why was he important to Hedy's invention? Answer: George Antheil was an avant-garde composer. He worked with Hedy Lamarr to develop the frequency-hopping communication system. 8. What military problem was Hedy Lamarr trying to solve during World War II? Answer: she wanted to prevent enemy forces from jamming radio-controlled torpedoes and interfering with their guidance systems. 9. Why did Lamarr and Antheil use 88 frequencies in their design? Answer: they chose 88 frequencies because a piano has 88 keys, and Antheil used player piano concepts as inspiration for the invention. 10. How did frequency hopping make communication more secure? Answer: the signal constantly switched frequencies, making it very difficult for enemies to intercept or jam the communication. 11. Why did the U.S. Navy reject Hedy Lamarr's invention at first? Answer: officials believed it was impractical for the technology of the time, and some may have underestimated her because she was a famous actress. 12. How did Hedy Lamarr support the war effort after her invention was rejected? Answer: she traveled around the country selling war bonds and helped raise millions of dollars for the war effort. 13. Did Hedy Lamarr invent Wi-Fi directly? Explain. Answer: no. She did not directly invent Wi-Fi. She helped pioneer spread-spectrum communication, which became part of the foundation for later wireless technologies. 14. Why did Hedy Lamarr never earn money from her most famous invention? Answer: by the time the military began using similar technology, her patent had expired and entered the public domain. 15. What is the main lesson of Hedy Lamarr's life story? Answer: people should not be judged only by their appearance or public image, because they may possess talents and abilities that others cannot see. 16. Why do you think Hedy Lamarr's story continues to inspire people today? Answer: answers may vary. One possible answer is that her story shows the importance of creativity, perseverance, and looking beyond stereotypes. She proved that a person can succeed in both the arts and science, and that intelligence can be found in unexpected places.